A high carrier deck, shrouded in dawn mist. Engines roar. A Hellcat bursts from the clouds, its tail hooks skimming the deck. The wind rips at the pilot's goggles. The arresting cable snaps taut. But something is wrong. The plane is landing backwards. Behind a pilot, chaos. Sailors dive for cover. The aircraft skids backwards toward the bow of the ship, not the stern. For a heartbeat, the world tilts. Why would a fearless Navy pilot, trained to land toward the stern, suddenly aim the nose forward? Why reverse everything they knew and double the strike power of a carrier group? A single instant, one decision, and a new chapter in naval warfare was born. They called it bow landing, a move so radical, so dangerous, many thought impossible. But wartime desperation forced innovation, and human courage forced change. Darkness, humid salt air, the carrier, USS Lexington, rolling under heavy seas. Rain spatters the flight deck. The smell of jet fuel and sea brine mixes with fear. In the ready room, Captain Allen McKenzie sits alone. His uniform damp, his knuckles white. Around him, frames of pilots, aircraft blueprints, journals. But the weight of decision rests only on him. He thinks, asterisk, if we don't find a way to launch faster, we lose the Pacific. Asterisk, every hour lost is lives lost. Below decks, the flight crews live in cramped bunks. The swing of a ship makes their stomach. Below deck, Captain McKenzie pores over record after record. Launch to landing times, sortie rates. Every minute lost means fewer strikes. Enemy carriers roam free. Losses mount. They try small tweaks, changing approach angles, more cables, bigger engines. But none yield the leap they need. Then a whisper comes, why not land toward the bow? The room freezes. The men stare. Madness or brilliance? Thus begins the secret conversations. Crescendo of tension. Because fear was a constant companion, and change would demand bravery. But that day, something changed. A month later, the war is at its height. Guadalcanal, Midway, relentless air raids. Captain McKenzie convenes a special council in the flag cabin. Engineers, test pilots, deck crews. The light is dim, the mood tense. They propose, on special experimental runs, approach the deck from the stern, but instead of landing tail first, land forward, engage a cable ahead, and roll to a stop before the bow. Reverse the entire landing concept. A hushed gasp. A technician's voice shakes. We'd crash into the superstructure. We'd hit the island. It's suicide. But another voice responds. If we can control the approach, deceleration, and arresting gear, we can reduce time per landing site. The nose slows. The plane rolls, but toward the bow. Heart and mouth. A harsh skid. She stops, inches from the bow. The deck is a haze of spray, salt, thunder. The sailors around her freeze. The pilot lifts her visor and gasps. She's alive. The silence shatters into cheers. Tears in many eyes. But not everyone is convinced. Some say it's too dangerous. But McKenzie presses, if we can repeat this safely, we can double sortie cycles. We can outpace any enemy. Evans practices again, over and over. Each descent is slightly refined. The cables tuned, the deck crew synchronized. The system is fierce, delicate, but the promise is immense. By month's end, the first squadron executes backward landings, bow landings, in limited operational mode. Word spreads in hushed tones around the fleet. Hashtag history stories. An older pilot, Lieutenant Harris, shakes his head. You're rewriting decades of naval doctrine. Evans, wiping sweat from her brow, whispers in solitude. Asterisk, we're rewriting lives. Asterisk, the carriers begin to cycle planes faster. The boardroom strategists back home catch wind. The Pacific War tilts just a bit. And lurking behind every calculation, fear. Because one mistake means disaster, not just for the pilot, but for the ship. But the curiosity spreads. They see the promise. They see hope. Salvo after salvo. Missions deep in enemy waters. Night raids. Search and destroy. Marine support. Every sortie counts. In the Lexington S wardroom, Evans sits with Harris. He's older, grizzled, cynical. She asks, "Do you ever fear we'll tear wings off the ship?" He looks at her across the table, dim lights flickering. "Every time I climb in. But I trust you, and this idea." "Why trust me?" she asks. He replies, "Because you flew it. Because you didn't break. Because I watched you land forward again in storms." Now, mid-carrier mid-war. A new strike mission, bombing fuel depots deep inland. Each minute counts. They push the limit. The threat. Enemy fighters, flak weather. On one run, Harris is hit. His engine sputters, smoke. He radios, "No power," trying to limp back. Evans hears. Her blood turns to ice. She knows what happens when a plane can't recover, ditching or worse. She breaks formation and races toward him, covering. Bullets slash past her wingtip. The deck shakes beneath. In the inner voice, asterisk, "I will not lose him." Asterisk, she leads him into the carrier approach corridor. Rain, darkness, tracer fire everywhere. The deck crews stand ready. Harris comes in, forward approach. He lands bow first. The cable snags. The brakes engage. He stops just ahead of the bow. He climbs out, shaken alive. They embrace. Every time she strapped in, she thought, asterisk, I fly for him. I fly so we are not forgotten. Asterisk, the bow landing system is refined. The engineers, night and day, strengthen cables, improve brakes, add fail-safes. The deck crew drills in synchronized choreography. Wires tensioned, alignment guides, anchor points. In conversation, tech asterisk, we're now cutting landing cycles from 7 minutes to 3. Captain McKenzie asterisk, if that holds in combat, we double our strike capacity every day. But every day is a gamble. A slip, a miscalculation, and a plane crashes into the island, destroying flight deck, killing dozens. The weight is unbearable. At dusk, Evans climbs out onto the flight deck. The sun, blood red, sinks in the Pacific horizon. She stares at the cables, the deck pins, the ocean beyond. She whispers, "Let me bring them home." A sailor sees her, salutes. She nods. Hashtag human kindness in that silent exchange. In the next mission, they push the limits. Dawn strike, mid-morning sortie, dusk run. Each time, the bow landing system holds. It is late 1944. The tide of the war is turning. The bow landing technique is now standard in many carrier groups. The Pacific Sea lanes are dominated. The Japanese fleet is pushed back. At sea, Captain McKenzie stands on the bridge with Evans and Harris. The sea is calm, cloud-strewn. A hint of light through heavy clouds. The ship hums with life, battle-ready, yet at peace in this moment. McKenzie says, "When we first tried this, I knew we were risking everything. But you all made it possible. You changed history." Evans, her face stern yet soft, replies, "We just flew forward." They share small laughter, rueful bittersweet. Below, she unfurls it gently. The wind catches it. She looks to the horizon. In her mind, asterisk, he's here. We fought for this. Asterisk, Harris emerges behind her. He takes her hand lightly. She grips. They walk together to the edge. Below, waves lap. The deck hums. War's ghosts hover, but the present is radiant. In silence, she speaks. "We flew toward the bow, but perhaps we were flying toward tomorrow." A gust of wind flutters the flag. Sailors around them murmur with awe.